let's look at public opinion polls and how they are conducted. The process of conducting a public opinion poll consists of several steps. Those conducting the poll first need to determine the population they are targeting for the survey, the group of people whose opinions are of interest and about whom information is desired. So let's decide that your mom decides that she wants to run for the House of Representatives. She's going to need to figure out how many people recognize her name. So she's going to want to limit it, though, to the congressional district, and then people who are registered to vote, and also people who are likely to vote and who have voted in past congressional elections. Sampling is the way that we figure this out. So pollsters have to select a sample that will represent the views of the population. Random sampling is very difficult to do. It's a scientific method of selection in which each member of the population has an equal chance of being included in the sample. Relying on random sampling helps to ensure that the sample is not skewed so that one component of the population is overrepresented. All right, so let's look at this. In our school, we have 2 parking lots for you guys. And if Mr. Burkhart were to ask us to do a survey about parking issues, it's going to be different if we include the 9th and 10th graders because they're going to tell you they don't have any problems parking because they aren't parking on campus. If you don't include the people that don't have class until second or third period, that's going to be a different answer than if you were to include everybody that is parking. So what I'm trying to get at is the people that get here early and have first period might not have trouble parking. But if you ask the people that get here second or third or fourth period in the morning, then they're going to probably tell you they have a trouble parking. So researchers have noticed, however, that one problem with polls is that even those conducted using random samples may not provide the accurate data needed to illuminate political opinions and behaviors. Part of the problem is that randomization can only go so far. One standard method for conducting telephone surveys is using random digit dialing for telephones. Some polling organizations still exclude cellular lines from their population, although it's very rare now these days. Today, more than 20% of the U.S. population relies exclusively on cell phones and has no landline. People who rely exclusively on landlines are likely to be older than cell phone users only. Indeed, one study found that 33% of young adults aged 18 to 29 lived in cell phone-only households. And some individuals who eliminate landlines from their homes do not do it to save money. In fact, in 2012, adults living in poverty were nearly twice as likely to rely on cell phones exclusively compared with those with higher incomes. But even those polling organizations that include cell phone subscribers face a high rate of non-response because of the nearly universal use of caller ID and the transportable nature of cell phones that make their owners. In fact, one study found that those who are willing to respond to pollsters' questions are more politically engaged than those who hit ignore. One way pollsters attempt to address these types of concerns is through the use of a quota sample, a more scientifically sophisticated method of sampling than random sampling. A pollster using this method structures the sample so that it is representative of the characteristics of the target population. Let's say that your mother then decides that she wants to run for the mayor of your town. You would likely conduct a poll that measures opinions of her among various constituencies. From census data, you learn that your town is 40% white, 35% African American, 20% Latino, and 5% Asian. Therefore, at a citywide event, you structure your sample so that it reflects the proportions of the population. With a sample of 200 voters, you would seek to include 80 white respondents, 70 African Americans, 40 Latinos, and 10 Asians. Pollsters routinely rely on quota sampling, though often they may not ask participants about their demographic characteristics until the end of the poll. Another method used to address problems in sampling is stratified sampling, in which the national population is divided into fourths, and certain areas within these regions are selected as representative of the national population. Although some organizations still rely on quota sampling, larger organizations and media polls now use stratified sampling, the most reliable form of random sample. Today, nearly every major polling organization relies on U.S. census data as the basis of their 4 sampling regions. Stratified sampling is the basis for much of the public opinion data used by political scientists and other social scientists. If a poll is administered to a non-representative sample of a population, the responses will not accurately reflect the population's views, and this is where we get sampling error. In selecting a representative sample, pollsters need to pay particular attention to the time of day a poll is administered. Afternoons yield a disproportionate number of mothers with children and retirees, and evenings may yield more affluent individuals who do not do shift work. And today's telephone technology presents pollsters with even more obstacles. As we have seen, many potential respondents, particularly young people, have opted out of telephone landlines in favor of cell phones, making them a subset of the population that is more difficult for pollsters to reach. People with caller ID on both cell phones and landlines frequently screen out unknown numbers and those of survey research companies. To adjust for problems with sampling, every poll that relies on a sample has a sampling error, sometimes called a margin of error, which is a statistical calculation of the difference in results between a poll of randomly drawn sample and a poll of the entire population. Most polls have a sampling error of plus or minus 3 percentage points. This means 3 percentage points should be added and subtracted from the poll results to find the range of the population. If you need to write this down, pause. Sorry, I was late in putting that up there.